Hey, yo, what up? How you guys doing out there today? This is your boy Roto Beast. I'm here with my boy Jeremy, aka DFS Dudes, and we're here to present you our NBA morning shoot around for Friday, October 19th. If you're new to this channel, please make sure to click the subscribe button below. This way you can watch all of our NBA, MLB, and the NFL videos. If you haven't already, go make sure to check out our site at dfscheatsheet.com. We have all the tools to help you compete with the pros day in and day out, including a complete optimizer, tons of content, everything that you need. We actually just added a couple more tools on there as well. We have a full player pool that you can check out every single day. Some good value plays, some of the top tier guys that you got to have in your lineup. And we also rank, me and Jeremy, we do our individual rankings and we kind of compare them to make a, kind of a ranking sheet for you guys every single day. Like I said, Optimizer's been on fire with NBA to start off the first couple of days. Haven't had a major takedown, but the lines have definitely been accurate and they've been up there. They're cashing, even if it's a minimum cash. It's just showing that the optimizer can get us those lines that only cash a 19% of entries easily, anyways. So make sure to check that out. Got a lot of good things going on right now with the site. So check it out, dfsgc.com. So how you doing out there, Jeremy?
Another good night, man. Another successful night with my core. Your cash line goes off in all formats. So, hey, we're already on slate 4, previewing slate 4. So let's get it, man.
All right. So, hey, I'm telling you guys right now, go check out the site. Go get our $59.99 package. You get full access to our optimizer. You got it going right now for MLB, NBA, and NFL. Plus, you get our daily cash lines for Fanduel and DraftKings. Tonight, hey, we cashed Fanduel. Let me tell you real quick. Tonight. So, we cashed tonight on Fanduel and DraftKings. Cash entries, GPPs with our optimal lineup that we sent out to our members. Hey, we're gonna have a really, really good NBA season. I promise you, you don't want to miss out on this. So real quick, tonight we had 315 on our cash line for FanDuel. Like I said, hit all entries, quintuple ups. The results will be posted on the site. Check it out. It actually had a sleeper of the day. Nobody played this guy. I mean, he was only 9% owned. He was in our cash line, though. We had him as a great value play. Zach Collins, he was 3,800, 9% owned, and got us 33 fantasy points. Great value right there, 9 times. The cash lines went off. DraftKings, like I said, cashed in all entries as well. Hey, go check it out, dfscheatsheet.com. And I'm ready to get into this slate. You ready, bro?
You know what the crazy thing is, dude, is that he cost me a takedown, not because I played him, but because I took him out. Cool. Right? We mentioned him last night on the video.
Oh, Collins?
Yeah, and what screwed me up today was the news that really made Cameron Payne a chalk play, right? He was the guy last night. We had questions about him. I didn't like him. And then what happened for me was, since I went to Payne I was playing Rondo no matter what. And then I went to Payne, so I played 2 value plays at point guard. Rondo worked out, but I went to Payne, and then I ended up going with Kuzma. Kuzma didn't let me down, but the money that the difference between Kuzma and Collins, if I played Collins, I'd probably go up to Dragic, and I'd probably take down. I think that my top line was 342, and like 356 won the $33. If I stick with Collins, I'd probably take it down.
Yeah, so real quick on that note, hey, make sure go subscribe to the DFS cheat sheet actual YouTube as well. Jeremy's putting on daily NBA GPP cores. He's 2 very successful videos. Hey, I'm really liking that, man. You're new to make these videos, but you're coming out with the bang. So make sure and subscribe DFS cheat sheet on YouTube. Check out those videos as well. And hey, let's get into this slate. So we got some good games on this slate for sure. What do you think about this slate? It's not too bad of a slate.
The first thing that jumps out to me is people who are NBA flyby players, you got your first 3 slates for free. You better do your research now because pricing went up, and it went up in a lot of ways in a lot of spots. You take a look, I'll name a couple of guys right off the bat that their price went through the roof. Karis LeVert, huge price increase. Cedi Osman is all the way up to $6,200. So you better start doing your research. If you don't have time to do research, that's another reason to sign up for the website, because we do all the research for you and put these player pools together. But that may seem like a cheap promo right there, but I'm just keeping it real with you. Pricing went up. It went up quick. You got 3 slates for free. This 4 slate. You've got to figure out who you're going to play and where you're going to get value at.
Right. No, for sure. And now it's going to get tougher. And then I don't know. I'm trying to adjust to these new rules. I'm trying to adjust. Tonight it was cool though. It actually worked out in my favor tonight, throwing out the lowest score, because it threw out Cameron Payne, who was 70% owned. He didn't even matter for me tonight, and I had Collins, and he got 33. He killed Payne, who was the 66% owned player, by 23 fantasy points. Hey, like I said, that put us in everything tonight with our cash line. So yeah, hey man, let's just jump into it. Let's get started with the first game. The first game that we'll look at is the game with the highest implied total on the slate by 6. So, Vegas is expecting this game to get, a lot of run. It's going to be the Sacramento Kings going into New Orleans to face the Pelicans. The Pelicans is actually, the Pelicans are actually favored by 11 as well. So Vegas is projecting this to be a blowout. So yeah, man, you ready to get started in this?
Yeah.
Okay, so I'll let you go first if you want. You can start us off with the away team, and let's go.
So you got De'Aaron Fox, who's gonna draw Drew Holiday. There was maybe a little doubt with who Drew Holiday was gonna pick up for Houston, James Harden or Chris Paul. I gambled on Chris Paul. He went Harden. De'Aaron Fox is their point guard. He'll draw Drew Holiday. I'm looking to avoid him completely. You look at this game, and I told you this probably 2 years ago. Remember I said, hey, I like to look for picks on teams that either have low totals or they're going to get blown out, because they're still going to score points, and somebody on that team has to score points. Buddy Hield is probably a guy that I think is playable in tournaments at 6,300. I think Willie Cauley-Stein came into his own last year. $7,500 is a fair price tag for him. He can average a double-double. He can get you some blocks. And then an interesting play would be Bjelica. And if you want to take a really deep dive on a guy who may get a lot of run if this game blows out, I'd go with Frank Mason at 3,700. And that's probably where I'd keep it with this one.
Okay. Yeah, no, definitely. I'm not going to look at too many things on that side of the ball.
I will mention one other guy. They do have Yogi Ferrell, right, or Pharrell, however you want to say it. Right. Sacramento does. He's no longer in Dallas. He's 3,900. He could be another guy. So just to make sure I hit everybody, Yogi Ferrell is the other guy who's really a true scorer. Come off the bench there, won't have the Drew Holiday treatment. Could be a very, very, very good play at 3,900.
Yeah, no, I definitely, like you said, the pricing is starting to get right. We're going to have to start definitely figuring out these good value plays that we're going to use. So, on the New Orleans side of things, I don't know what to think about this team yet. Of course, they're going to beat Sacramento, and this probably is going to be a blowout. Don't get me wrong. But I don't know how to feel about, they just absolutely destroyed the Rockets. That I'm kind of like, well – but then, I was looking at some highlights on it and stuff, and the Rockets just played bad. They had a bad game. One thing that was crazy for me is Harden, he usually takes, 24, 25 shots a game, and he took, I think, like 15, 16 shots, and a couple of them were in garbage time when it didn't matter. Like, I don't understand. He didn't come out aggressive, and at the end of the day, I understand they have Chris Paul, but Harden's the engine that runs that team for sure. You know what I mean? And so now we go back to the Pelicans. Anthony Davis, I'm looking at his price, and I'm like 13.3. That is ridiculous. Hey, but if you can fit him, you can put him in your lineup. It's just all about, this is a monster slate on a monster price tag in a game that we expect is going to be a blowout. Do we really want to pay that much money for Anthony Davis? But if you do find the value, then, definitely go for it. Drew Holiday, 8,100. His price is up. I like Drew. I played him a lot last year. Even Miricic. I'll just kind of clump these guys because these are the top 3 players. Alfred Payton, he's coming off a triple-double. I don't know if he's going to sustain that kind of effort. I mean, we've seen it in the past. He'll have a good game. He'll have a horrible game. Have a good game. Have a bad game. So, especially, like I said, the biggest thing with the Pelican side for me is I think it's going to be a blowout, and all these guys, their prices are pretty right. You know what I mean? So that's really where I'm at. I'm not really going to look. You can look at a Julius Randle, but he's 7,800. And that's it. That's it for me. Like this game, I think is more of a stay away.
I think there's pieces you can attack, and here's the thing, right? The one thing for me, and you haven't mentioned it, so I will. We talked earlier about rotations, and it's early in the year where you got to figure out rotations. If they're gonna play, if New Orleans is gonna stay with an 8-man rotation, Anthony Davis is viable every single night because he's gonna rotate between the 4 and the 5, or just play the 5. He's viable every night. The problem is you need him to get you 80 points every night. For 6x at 13.3, I think that's 79 points. So that's the tough part about it. But, this game has blowout potential. If you're going to target it, there's value with Etwan Moore. That's the one guy that I would mention.
Yeah. And, hey, after that, I mean, that's all I'm at with this game. I'm ready to move on to the next one. So the next one we're going to talk about is going to be the Cleveland Cavaliers going into Minnesota to face the Timberwolves. Minnesota's favored by 8.5 in this game. This game has the second highest implied total on the slate of 223.5. So yeah, get us started.
Man, the one guy that I liked in this game is on this team was Cedi Osman.
Right.
But going up $1,400 on one slate after putting up 38 fantasy points, I don't know. It kind of feels like you're chasing it. A good value play for me in this game is Sam Decker. He played 16 minutes. He was a good play when the rotation spot opened up for him with injuries and whatnot when he was in Houston. Good young player. So Sam Decker at $3,500 I think is a good pump play. If your throwaway play, if it's a guy that you're trying to – this throwaway play thing I think is like an insurance play, right? Pick a guy who has an opportunity to get you value and get you a cushion early and then replace that play with somebody later on in the slate, like a hammer play. So Sam Decker I like. You've got Jordan Clarkson and Rodney Hood, so you've got some natural scorers on this team. Clarkson played 23 minutes, scored 15 points. Against Toronto. Rodney Hood at $5,000. He scored 21 points in 22 minutes. I'm sorry, in 26 minutes he scored 12 points. I got that transposed. 18.9 fantasy points. There's just not a lot of sexiness in this game. Cleveland's not a good basketball team. Minnesota is going through whatever they're going through, but they have a ton of weapons on their side with their big 4. I'm looking to stay away from Cleveland for the most part. Even if there's one guy that I would think about playing, it would probably be Sam Decker, just because he's $3,500 and he has upside.
Yeah, no, definitely. The Cleveland side of things, I'm not too interested in. Just like you were saying, on the Minnesota side. So my biggest thing going into the season about them was, obviously you got this whole Jimmy Butler situation, and then you knew the day before pretty much that he was going to start. So are these guys not going to pass to each other? What's going to go on? How's going to happen? But I was kind of looking at, how the first game went. You got Jeff Green. He had a solid day. Butler had a solid day. Wiggins had a solid day. Karl Anthony Towns was the guy who was the bust that day. So this next game, I think they'll look to kind of get him going. They always feature him for the most part, and it's like, who's going to guard him? Kevin Love or Tristan Thompson? Well, okay, but I'm not really worried about Tristan Thompson. Butler's going to get his. All these guys, I'm liking it. I'm liking it pretty much where you're at. Same thing you said. I like the big 4. Outside of that, I'm not really going to look too much deep into it. You could possibly maybe look at like a D Rose at $4,000. I think it's a good price tag. If you think this game is going to be a blowout. And that's one thing about it as well, is I think this game has a good chance to be a blowout. And these guys are price fair. None of them are cheap. None of the big 4 that we're talking about. So that's the kind of thing. In DFS, if you don't know or if you're new to this, if a game is projected to be a blowout, you got to really consider those spots because you don't want a guy that's only going to play 3 quarters. Unless they're the Warriors. All the Warriors always get theirs in 3 quarters for the most part. But outside that, you always want to kind of be a little bit concerned with the blowout game. And I do kind of have that concern a little bit with the Minnesota Timberwolves.
You know, if I could bank on Karl Anthony Towns playing in the post tomorrow, I would feel exactly how I felt about Joel Embiid for today's slate. They don't have anybody who's going to play or post him up or defend him in the post. But Towns likes to take too many three-point shots, and he thinks he's a perimeter player. I don't get it. I mean, if he just got down the post and banged it out, he'd easily have a double-double in 3 quarters tomorrow. This would be an easy 50-point spot at 10-1 price tag for him, but I'm not really excited about this either.
Yeah, and that's why it's just like, I mean, I understand he has the upside to get there. Definitely, he could any night. But bad first game, the price tag is up, plus blowout potential. I'm ready to move on to the next one. How about you?
Yeah.
All right, so the next one we're going to go with, it's going to be the New York Knicks going into Brooklyn to face the Nets. This game is definitely going to be a back-and-forth game, very fast-paced and up-tempo. That's how both of these teams play. Brooklyn's actually favored in this game by 3. And this game has the third highest implied total on the slate with 218.5 projected points to be scored.
Going right back to Trey Burke, has a dud game. His price goes up. Price goes up by $1,000, $5,800 player. So FanDuel tips their hand and tells us that ownership is built into their pricing algorithm. So that's a little bit of a giveaway. Enes Kanter, 7,500. His price goes up a bit. I think those are the 2 top plays in this game. Tim Hardaway at 7,000. I don't know if you can look for him to follow up the same performance he had against Atlanta, but he's obviously playable. And then a guy I love is Kevin Knox. I love Kevin Knox. I think $4,700 is a good price for this guy. He could see a lot of minutes in this game as the game goes up and down the floor. You've really got probably 5 or 6 guys that you can look to play in this game. But to me, the easiest and most obvious plays in this game are Burke, Kanter, and Hardaway. I'd probably stretch it to the 4th guy and say that, Kevin Knox is a fringe play for me in this one as well.
Yeah, so, I mean, they look good against the Hawks, and the Hawks aren't a very good team, but, hey, Brooklyn's not a very good team neither. We know that. So I definitely think this game is going to be competitive. They're just going to be running back and forth. On the Brooklyn side of things, they're favored by 3. There's a couple guys I definitely think that we can look at. First, I'll go with D'Angelo Russell, 6,800, and he didn't have the best of a game last game. But to me, D'Angelo Russell is the best player on this team. I mean, I may be stretching that a little bit, but that's my personal opinion. Whenever anybody really has big scoring game, it's usually him. He's the one that steps up, hits a bunch of threes. So I like D'Angelo Russell, fair price tag, 6,800. Going against Trey Burke. I mean, Trey Burke's a small dude. D'Angelo Russell could shoot right over Trey Burke. I like Karis LeVert. Karis LeVert, I liked him last year. He fills up the stat sheet. The thing about him is they never give, and this is the whole thing about the Brooklyn, the Nets in general, is they never give their starters tons of minutes. Regular teams give their starters 34, 35 minutes a game, 33 to be safe. With Brooklyn, they give their guys 28, 29 minutes. Sometimes they'll get 30 minutes on the dot. So that's always the concern with Brooklyn. You got a guy, Karis LeVert. He's at a 7,400 price tag now. A pretty good little jump right there compared to his recent price. D'Angelo Russell stayed the same. So like I said, I like him as a value play at the point guard position. I think that last game he got like 24 minutes or something. I think this game he'll get his 30, 32 minutes and add a 6,800 price tag. I think that D'Angelo Russell's a really good play. Jarrett Allen, last game, he had a monster game. He got like 37 fantasy points. I think some people are going to chase that. But, I mean, the thing about it is he jumped. Now he's at a 6,800 price tag. He was pretty much minimum price the last game, and that's just too monster of a jump for me. And I'm noticing exactly what you were just talking about right now. How you're saying these guys, there's a couple of guys that they were pretty much minimum price, and they went up 2,000-3,000. Osman, how much did you say he was? Almost 2,000 jump?
1,400, yeah.
Yeah, like a bunch of these guys, and that's what's kind of scaring me with these guys. Like some of these guys are in solid spots to have good games, but the prices just jump so much just because of one game, and
Look,
we can't really
let me tell you something. Jared Allen, you're right. They're gonna that's a guy that you're absolutely right with. Enos Cantor's a monster, dude.
right, and the
He,
people are gonna chase him.
there's look, he was a rotation player with Steven Adams, and he like everybody. I always beg for them to give Cantor more minutes because he was such a fantasy monster. He's their starting center right now with no Porzingis. This is to me, Cantor's probably the best play in this game because of his double upside. But one thing I'll touch on with this game is you're right with the minutes, but you have to look at DeMarre Carroll's out. Crab's going to come back. The Knicks don't have Porzingis. They don't really, they have a center that runs and Cantor. I think this game, like you said, it goes up and down the floor. I think there's a lot of small ball in this. I think you could see a lineup where they have Russell, LeVert, Carroll, and Dinwiddie on the floor all at the same time. And Dinwiddie played some big minutes. He's the one guy. I mean, Dinwiddie, look at his price at 5,500. And, he played 32 minutes, scored 23 points at 35.8 fantasy points. Always plays well against the Knicks. So that's another guy that I will mention in this game that's relevant.
Yeah. Hey, I was getting to him. You didn't give me a chance. But, yeah, I really like him. 5,500. I think he's a great play. For sure. I think easy 6X. What you think?
I got to put it on what you said in the first place. It's about minutes, right? And it's always going to be about minutes with the Knicks. But right now, without DeMarre Carroll, they don't have Carroll, and then I don't think Hollis Jefferson's going to play either with the hip injury. So they're out. They're really without two starters in DeMarre Carroll and Rondé Hollis Jefferson. They have to play small.
Right. And one thing that I'm kind of thinking about though too is like we're talking about, Dinwiddie. He got big minutes last time. What, 33 minutes, correct?
Mm-hmm.
Is that what it was?
33 minutes, yeah.
Okay, and they only played D'Angelo Russell like 24 minutes. So I'm kind of the only thing that's kind of worrying me a little bit with Dinwiddie is Russell's going to end up getting his minutes. And so if you take 6 minutes and add that on to Russell's, and that puts Dinwiddie at like 26 minutes, 27 minutes. So I just, I think he's a good play, fair price tag, but I don't want people to, think that we're saying he's an absolute lock. That's the point I wanted to make it clear. You know what I mean?
The problem with Russell is he doesn't shoot the three ball. I think he's averaging 2 3-pointers per game for his career, and he's like a 35% career 3-point shooter. So he has to drive. He's also coming off the knee surgery. They didn't play him a lot last year, at all as far as minutes go. They were really careful with them. They could still be careful with them. I think that the one thing I'll disagree with you on is I think the best player on that team is Caris LeVert. By far, he's the best player on that team because he fills the stat sheet. He's the most consistent. He's the most natural scorer that they have. I just don't like that his price jumped all the way up and we don't know what the rotation really is and don't know if Hollis Jefferson's playing. If Hollis Jefferson is playing, it kind of puts a hamper on that rotation. If he's not playing and they're without two starters, you can really bank on him going small. And then I think that they're all in play.
Yeah. So I'm ready to move on to the next game. How about you? You ready to go? Anything else to say?
No.
Oh, all right. Hey, let's get it, bro. So our next game that we're going to be talking about, this game I think has, a couple guys that we could definitely look at in this game. It's going to be the Charlotte Hornets going into Orlando to face the Magic. Charlotte favored by 2. This game has a 218 implied total, so it's actually just slightly under the last game that we covered. I think that this is another game that's going to be going back and forth, up and down. It's going to be a fast tempo game. So yeah, go ahead, bro.
Tony Parker, book it, 3,800. That's it.
It's the only guy you're looking at for Charlotte.
I'm kidding.
Hold on a second. What's going on?
Kemba Walker price hike. Marvin Williams, I think, is a decent play in this one. I'm not excited to play Cody Zeller against Vucevic. Aaron Gordon's extremely explosive on the other side of it too, so I'm not really that excited. I think that you've got really 2 to 3 guys to look at from the Charlotte side. Jeremy Lamb at 5,300. Jeremy Lamb was pretty popular, a pretty obvious play in their opening game, but he only got 20 minutes, 16.9 Fanduel points, price increase a little bit. Malik Monk, 5,500. He's the guy who got the bulk of those minutes. So, that's a guy to look at as well if that's how that rotation is going to work. He scored 18 points in 33 minutes. It was kind of, inverted where I don't think anybody looked to play Malik Monk. Everybody was really on Jeremy Lamb. And Monk is the guy who's really established himself as their shooting guard. So, they'll roll out a lineup with Walker and Batum's playing the small forward. They're really playing small with Williams and Zeller. They don't have a center outside of Hernan Gomez, who comes off the bench. Hernan Gomez, he was viable in the opener, but his price also went up. He's a $4,600 player now. So, I mean, I'm not looking to play him at all. I'm not excited to play the Charlotte side of this game, to be honest with you. I mean, I think that there's some plays, but to me, to be honest with you, you're going to mention him, I know, on the other side of it, but it feels like an Evan Fournier game to me. I mean, Fournier feels like the guy that this is the spot to play and target in this game.
Yeah, no, so I think that he is a solid play. There's actually a guy that I really like as well. People never play this guy, and he's really good. Vucevic. I like Vucevic. And like you said, Charlotte's playing small. Who's going to guard Vucevic? This guy, he can put 50 fantasy points up any night. This guy is like a guy that nobody ever talks about. 8,000 is a very fair price tag for him. Very fair. I mean, I like Aaron Gordon. I think that he's a solid play. Don't get me wrong. Think about him. His price tag went way up there, 8,400. I don't know if Aaron Gordon's a guy that I want to pay 8,400 on this slate. There's some guys I'm really liking. Fournier, like you said, great play. 6,000, very fair price tag. This guy has a green light. He can take as many shots as we want. The coaches love this dude. Think that he's an awesome play. But, I mean, outside of that, I'm not really going to be looking at too many of these other guys. You could possibly look at Jonathan Simmons. He's the guy that does fill up the stat sheets and plays defense, gets some steals. But I just really want to see how his minutes are really shaking out off the bench. One game sample size isn't really too much for us to kind of dictate that right now. So for me in this game, you can look at a Vucevic and a Fournier. I think that they're the top 2 plays. And then Aaron Gordon, he would be a GPP play just because I don't think he's going to be high owned because his price went up.
I will have exposure to Mohamed Bamba in this game. The rookie.
Yeah, I know what you're talking about. Big dude.
I believe he got more minutes than Vucevic did. I have to check on that, but I think he got more. I think he played either Vucevic played 25 and he played 28, or Vucevic played 28 and he played 25.
Okay. That's something I have to check out. I didn't know that. But yeah, I mean, I think that's about it for this game. This one's there's some clear spots that you want to check out, and then, you kind of move on. You don't want to force people from games. We got a lot of games. We got 9 games, 18 teams to choose from. So definitely.
The more I think about it, dude, before you move on from this game, the more I think about it, just initially, Cody Zeller may be worth exposure tomorrow because Vucevic doesn't rebound the basketball at all. He doesn't rebound.
Yeah, I get you. So the next game we're going to move on to, it's going to be the Warriors, Golden State Warriors going into Utah to face the Jazz. I actually think this is going to be a really good game. Golden State's favored by 2 in this game. This has a 218 implied total. A lot of people actually, bro, I've been seeing have the Jazz as the second best team in the Western Conference. That's what I've been seeing some places. Now, I think this is going to be a really good game. Jazz are going to be absolutely fresh. First game of the season at home against the Warriors. And, they want to prove that they're, that team that's going to be right there with the Warriors. So I think this is a big game for the Jazz. It's going to be, a statement game if they can pull out this win. So go ahead, man. Get us started with this game.
Damn, bro. Nobody in Sacramento likes you at all because you just showed how much you care about Sacramento by saying it's Utah's first game. Utah beat Sacramento.
Yeah. Yesterday, right? It was yesterday, correct?
Yeah.
Blowout, correct?
Yes.
Yeah, okay. See, that's how much. Yeah, I'm tripping. Okay, yeah, I'm tripping. Eagles went off yesterday, right?
Yeah,
All right.
Mitchell played well, but I mean they blew him out. But
That's why I didn't even pay attention, honestly. Okay, I'm tripping. My bad. But yeah. So go ahead, man. Get us started with the
Damian
Warriors.
Jones was a good play. Kevin Looney was a good play. Both those guys were good plays in the opener um, for Golden State. But you got Rudy Gobert, who's a center. Derek Favors is a banger in the post. This is a Kevin Durant game for me. If you're going to target one guy for the Warriors, it's a Kevin Durant game because Kevin Durant's such a great perimeter player, and the Warriors take so many threes. So for me, when I look at this game, you got two guys who like to play in the low post and bang down there, and Gobert and Favors both started right in the starting lineup. Kevin Durant, perimeter player, pick and roll player, dip and dive to the corner, come off the high screen and roll. The Warriors take so many threes that there's a lot of long rebounds, and I think this is a Kevin Durant game. You know, he scores 20 to 25 points. He fills up 10 to 12 rebounds in this game, gets you a couple of assists. He's always going to get you a couple of steals. That's just his game. He's so long. So Kevin Durant's my top play on the Golden State side. I think that there's other guys in this game that are playable. Steph Curry and Klay Thompson are playable. It doesn't feel like a Draymond game for me. Iguodala, game time decision. You'll want to watch that because if he doesn't play, then Quinn Cook's really, really viable coming off the bench in that one. Outside of that, man, that's really where I'm at with the Warriors. It's not an exciting place for them to go into Utah. It's hard for anybody to go into Utah and play well. And like you said, a lot of people are saying this is the second best team. They've got some guys in this team that like to bang in the post. They've got some perimeter shooting. They've got Donovan Mitchell who likes to dip and dive. So it's hard for me to really be excited about Golden State in this one. But Kevin Durant, 10,200 price tag. Of the big stars on the slate, this guy's probably the cheapest with the best opportunity. Like I said, the long rebounds that the Warriors, they shoot a ton of threes. Everybody knows that. You're a basketball coach, man. You know you shoot a lot of threes, you take a lot of jump shots. There's a lot of long rebound opportunities. And I think this is a Kevin Durant game.
Yeah, no, I mean, I really have not much else to say on the Warriors side of things. I mean, they're the best team in the league. If you could fit them in, then go for it. You know, for sure. On the Utah side of things, so I was checking it out right now, actually, real quick. So they actually all the starters had good games against Sac the last game. And the only guy that didn't really have a good game was Rubio. He kind of had an off shooting night or whatever. Mitchell played big minutes in that game. Favors had a good game, and he didn't play very many minutes. Ingles had a monster game. So for me, against the Warriors, I'm gonna have to say, I mean, I pretty much like all the starters in this game. The fact of the matter is for the Warriors side of things, it's a pace down game, so it's kind of for us. But for the Warrior, I mean, on the Utah side of things, it's a pace up game for them. So they're going to get some extra shots in, etc. I'm liking Mitchell in this game. Mitchell, I mean, this rookie, he has something to prove. You know, the fact that he didn't get Rookie of the Year last year, and Ben Simmons has been balling, so he's gonna do his best to be like, yeah, I ain't gonna fall far behind. I think like for the rest of their careers, he's gonna have a chip on his shoulder and always want to do better than Ben Simmons. So I like him a lot in this game. So I have a question for you. So what do you think? You think that they're just gonna try to keep Gobert in there a lot, even though that the Warriors are gonna be running like super fast pace? Because I mean that's not something that he's really used to. I mean, are they gonna be able to play Gobert and Derek Favors together tomorrow? Do you think that they're gonna play Crowder because he's a wing defender and he'll match up good against KD? And what do you think? I'm kind of like about that situation right now.
The first thing, right, is that I want to mention something about Donovan Mitchell. So he was $8,000 twice last year when he played the Warriors, and he got 34 and 36 fantasy points. He's gotten at least 30 all four times he's played the Warriors. So I think Mitchell is the guy, right? He's the guy to target from the Utah side for sure. As far as your question goes, I think that they, like you said, it's a pace down game for the Warriors. I think that They do try to work the ball through the post, slow the game down a little bit. They've got a really Ricky Rubio is a good point guard, man. He is a good point guard. It's just a matter of which Ricky Rubio are you going to get.
Right.
But I think they do try to. I think they do try to here's the thing, right? The biggest thing about the Warriors to me is this is probably one of the worst benches that they've had. It's a very young bench with some guys they've got on it.
Right.
And you look at the Utah side of it, I think that's where they can either make up ground, hold the ground, or even get out in front of the Warriors a little bit is with the rotation, because that's when a Jay Crowder is going to come in. And then if you look at the Warriors rotation, Klay Thompson's typically the guy that plays with that second unit.
Right.
I think that's where the mismatch is at. Donovan Mitchell's the guy I think could play big minutes in this one. He could get point guard opportunity as well as the shooting guard. And then the funny thing is that Utah's coach, Quinn Snyder, I believe he coached in college with Missouri, but he's also a Laker guy with Phil Jackson. So that little bit of that triangle offense could show itself. This team is like a perfect triangle offense team.
Okay. Yeah, so the more I look at it, it's like I feel Gobert's going to get his minutes. That's kind of where I'm at. And Favors, he's going to play, but I see Favors. I mean, last game he played, I think, like 25 minutes or something like that. I think it's going to be like that again. He's going to play 24 minutes. Crowder's going to play like 24 minutes, and he's going to play like a small power forward because, that will match up somewhat. He's going to have Draymond Green on Gobert. They're going to have Durant at the power forward spot, and Crowder matches up against him. So I definitely think Crowder will get some of those power forward minutes. So, I mean, this game, I just see a lot of minutes going to Crowder over Favors. So I don't think I'm really too interested in Favors. For me, like you said, it would just be pretty much Mitchell. And then you could look at Gobert a little bit on GPPs. So you ready to move on to our next game?
Hey, I just want to hit one thing with you, though. Favors, 39.5, 31.3, and 24.1 in 3 games last year against the Warriors. Just saying. I mean, the dude can't put up double-doubles.
Right. Yeah, no, I get you completely. Definitely. And I like him as a player. I mean, I've played him. I just don't feel comfortable with the minutes. I would like to kind of see that a little bit more. That's the only thing that I'm really kind of thinking about that. But yeah, so we'll move on to the next game. So the next game we're gonna go with is gonna be this is this one's looking like a really juicy game right here, bro. So we got Indiana Pacers going into Milwaukee to face the Bucks. You got Oladipo versus Antetokounmpo in the gang. Milwaukee's favored by 3.5. And this game has a 217 implied total. So, I mean, there's a lot of points that are going to be scored in this game. Man, hey, this game excited me right now checking out this game. So, I mean, I'll let you get it started. Any initial thoughts on this game?
Brook Lopez is their starting center, and the guy's not a rebounder. He likes to play on the perimeter. I feel like I just said that when we previewed Milwaukee for their opening night game. So that immediately puts Miles Turner on my radar at 6,200. Victor Oladipo, you mentioned it right there. The guy's a scorer. Victor Oladipo versus Giannis. I like that. Darren Collison at 4,600. Collison, he played 22 minutes in the opener. Also another guy coming off of a knee surgery. So they kind of limited him in his return last year. But I look for his minutes to increase. Collison seems like a good play at 4,600 as your shooting guard number 2 with the high implied total, the close spread, a game that's going to get up and down the floor. Collison always surprises you too. Like, when he gets in this price range, he'll drop 40 points or 45 fantasy points on you. Chris Middleton, not a good he's a good perimeter defender, but he's not a good up and down the floor defender. And then for me, I think this is a Miles Turner, Victor Oladipo, Derek Collison game. I don't know how much Thaddeus Young I'll look to get. I think that this is really a Miles Turner lot for me. Tyreek Evans comes off the bench too. Can't forget about him being on this team. But there again, a guy who's had a ton of injuries, and it's a minute. I mean, how many minutes can Tyreek Evans play, and for how many games can he do it for? Other than that, that's kind of where I'm at with this one. I think Oladipo, Miles and Tyreek Evans, all really, really viable plays in this one.
Yeah, no, I mean the only guy that I feel that I would mention maybe possibly is Domantas Sabonis. The guy had a really good first game. He's always a guy that he comes in off the bench and he brings a lot of energy. Gets some defensive stats. Definitely, he gets a ton of rebounds. Scores baskets. 5,600. I think is a fair price tag for him. I think that he's a solid GPP play. Moving on to the Milwaukee side of things, though, I mean I think it's pretty clear. Straight up, you go with their big three. You got Antetokounmpo, Bledsoe, Middleton. Honestly, they're all pretty fair price tags for what they do. Antetokounmpo is not 12,000. He had a really solid game one. Eric Bledsoe, he didn't have fantasy wise, didn't have the absolute best game, but he didn't have a bad game in general. He just didn't get some of those stats he normally gets. 7,200. So you need 36 for him to hit value. Definitely think that he will hit 36 tomorrow. In my opinion, this game is going to be a very up and down game. Right now, I currently got him projected at 35, so right there at value. And then you got your guy Chris Middleton. Chris Middleton is their shooter. He's the big time scorer. His price is actually up a little bit, about 8,000. The price doesn't excite me, so maybe a little bit more of a GPP play. But I mean, the guy, he always puts up fancy points. He also gets rebounds. So I'm really just gonna stick with those guys. You can look at a guy like Brogdon. He got 38 minutes the last game, so a ton of minutes. They had a 5,400 price tag. He can hit some threes. But that's really it for me on the Milwaukee side of things. I'm not gonna really try to dig too deep into some of these bench players. I really want to see, like I said, more for bench players right now. I'm kind of with the most teams, it's just more of a wait and see approach. So I mean, that's about it I got for this.
I'm not really on Sabonis tomorrow because they picked up Ilyasova, but I think Giannis gets at least, I think 50s his floor.
Giannis, yeah. Well, I mean, we know when he's like fully healthy, that the guy's just a monster. I mean, we know that for sure. So, I mean, you ready to roll on?
Move it on.
All right. So we're gonna go with our next game. The next game, it's gonna be the OKC Thunder, probably without Westbrook going into the Los Angeles to face the Clippers in Staples Center. The Clippers are actually favored in this game by 1.5. This game has a 215.5 over and under. So yeah, man, let's get started with this game.
Russell Westbrook's out. He's been ruled out. They have him unless they change that when they get off the plane or they get to the morning shoot around, whatever. He's listed as out. So I don't. Andre Roberson is out as well. Nerlens Noel at 4,000. Really good game against the Warriors. But for me, I'm going to stick with three guys. I think Schroeder, his price only went up to 7,000. I think he stays a lock in this one. I love Paul George when he's in LA. The guy's from Palmdale. He's an LA kid, short drive for his parents to come watch him play. He likes to play at Staples Center. And Steven Adams, you turn around and look. Marshawn Gortat can't guard Steven Adams. At the Warriors game, this dude Steven Adams is just a monster. He's just a huge human being.
Right.
And he's so skilled, man. I think this is the year. He's so good. He's just really skilled big man. So I like to see that Vegas thinks it's a close run for these guys. Even Adams, Dennis Schroeder, that's really where I'm going to keep it. Jeremy Graham, price stayed the same. Actually, I think he was 4,600. He moved up to 4,800. Raymond Felton, I don't know, if you want to look at the narrative there, the guy played for the Clippers for a while. If you want to look at the narrative at that, you can maybe plug him as 3,600. But for me, it's three spots: Paul George, Steven Adams, Dennis Schroeder. Move on.
Yeah. So I mean, you pretty much hit it right there. I mean, that's where I'm at as well. Possibly you can look at Patrick Patterson as your your kind of punt play that you use on Fanduel. He had a decent game last outing for his price. But yeah, on the Clippers side of things, I mean, it's pretty clear cut. I'm only really looking at two guys that I'm really gonna honestly look at. It's gonna be Tobias Harris. Problem with him is his price went up. So I mean, GPP wise, I think he's a great play. Have him in a couple lineups. He had a double double, played a ton of minutes. And the other guy that I'm really going to be looking at, it's going to be Lou Williams. I mean, he's only 6,400. This was a guy who got up to 8,000 at one point last year. We know Doc Rivers loves this dude, and he gives him a green light to come in the game and just get buckets. 6,400, I think, is just a very fair price tag. They're going to need to score the ball against OKC. I think this game is going to have some points. Like I said, on both sides, it is projected at a 215 total. So I like Tobias Harris. I like Lou Williams. GPP, if you want to look at him, you can look at Gallinari. 6,500 is a fair price tag for him. He gets a ton of shots up as well. And he's a guy that we've seen in the past get hot, put 40 fantasy point games together. But for me, he's strictly like deep GPP. Possibly Avery Bradley, 4,500. But I mean, the guy since going to the Clippers last year, he just really hasn't done much. And outside of that, I mean, that's all I really got on the Clipper side of things.
Don't leave off Montrezl Harrell.
Oh yeah, sorry. Yeah, you're right. And Harrell.
Look, his price went up. His price went up $800. But
yeah,
2 quick fouls in the first quarter. Doesn't play at all anymore in the first half. Limited minutes in the second. He only played 16 minutes. He's going to play more minutes than that. I think he's a mismatch off the bench for the bench players that Oklahoma City has. And then you look, he was 2 of 8 and blew 3 so easy layups. So he could easily had another 6 points on top of his 19 he got. I like Harrell tomorrow a lot. He's one of my favorite plays on the board.
Yeah, no, I looked over him, but for sure he's a good player. And like you said, I know you like him because you're a tournament player, and he's going to be low owned because he let the world down yesterday. Recency bias, people are not going to be on him. I could see definitely him being a solid play for tournaments for sure tomorrow. So I mean, we'll move on to our next game that we're going to talk about. Real quick though, but just real quick, like you said, yeah, for the OKC, you pretty much Schroeder's a lock. That's it. We're just saying it. We said it last time. I hope you guys listen. He's a lock tomorrow. Tomorrow he's going to be a lot lower owned than he was the previous game because it's a 9-game slate. But for all our viewers, we're going to tell you right now he's a lock. Right? Are we on the same page with that?
Westbrook's out. Schroeder will play the point. He played extremely well in the point. This is another high-paced game, high implied total. Lock it in. Schroeder's going to get a ton of minutes. He's going to play just like he did against the Warriors.
All right, so move on to the next game. It's going to be the Atlanta Hawks, who got absolutely destroyed by the Knicks, going into Memphis to face the Grizzlies. This game has a 7.5. I'm sorry, Memphis is favored by 7.5, and this game has a 209.5 implied total. So it's the second to the bottom game in projected points to be scored, and it's actually 6 less than the OKC game that we just talked about. So they're expecting this game to be really, really low scoring. So go ahead. What you got for us on this game?
Memphis's roster is terrible. Right. It's a terrible roster. I mean, Mike Conley's the all-star there, and he's coming off surgery. So, I mean, you look over at Atlanta's roster, and it's full of young guys that can get up and down the floor, but it's also full of guys that are unproven. A guy that I really like a lot in this game is DeAndre Bembry. I mean, he's almost minimum value at 3,600. He played 24 minutes at 16.8 fantasy points in their opener against the Knicks. I think he's a good rotational guy. Vince Carter, I'm not going to play him, but you'll mention him if you want to punt with Vince Carter and hope he does something. There's a little bit of a narrative there with that as well. But keep it with Trae Young. I'm not going to look to play Trae Young here because of Mike Conley. Mike Conley's still a good defender. Prince and Bazemore, I'm not excited to play them either. This is one of those games for me, like somebody's going to score points in this game. They're going to, score between 90 and 100 points in this game, and somebody's going to do it. I'm just not looking to target anybody in this game at all, outside of Bimbre.
Okay, so I'm just gonna keep it real with you, bro. Homie to homie, we boys, partners, we always keep it real. I'm just hitting the skip button and I'm ready to move on to the next game. You ready to go? I don't like nobody on the Memphis side of things. You would possibly look at Marc Gasol, but the price is way up. That's
The one guy on the Memphis side that you have to mention, though, because it's a huge price dip, is Kyle Anderson.
Yeah, no, he actually was the guy that stood out for me, but I'm just like, I'm just like thinking to myself, am I really going to play him? That's just kind of where I was at with him.
Well, the thing with Kyle Anderson is I wasn't playing Kyle Anderson at his price on the opening slate, but he's 5,400. I think that's more of a fair price for him for a small forward too, and it's against the Hawks, who aren't going to play a lot of defense. So he's a guy that fills up the stat sheet. He gets you steals, he gets you rebounds, he can hit threes. So that's probably the only relevant guy that I'd look to play in that game.
Right. So, hey, bro, this is crazy. We're just going down by the highest over and unders. We got the best game on the slate we're about to get into right now. You ready, bro? I'm ready. I was looking. I was like, ooh, this is an exciting game right here. All right, bro. So, real quick before we get into the slides, I think this is going to be a really good game to watch. I mean, I don't know, fantasy-wise, there's some spots that we definitely could look at in this game, but, it is the lowest projected total for a reason. This is going to be a really good defensive game, in my opinion. It's going to be slower pace. They're going to go back and forth, half-court sets. But, yeah, no, I'll get you going. I'll let you get going with the Boston side of things, and we'll kind of go from there.
So the implied total is what's going to keep people away from this game. It's 207. The Boston has the second lowest implied total at 102. The Hawks are at 101. So it kind of shows you where it's at. And then, Toronto's at 105. So I think this game's going to have more points in it than what Vegas has. I would definitely, if I was a betting guy, bet the over in this. I think it goes over 207. When you start looking at the center position, I'm not looking to attack that. Gordon Hayward did exactly what I thought he would do. Remember I talking to you about the slate, and it was only a 2-game slate, and I said I think Gordon Hayward is going to get you 24, 25 minutes and probably 25 to 30 fantasy points in that time. I think that's about what he did.
Yeah, I'm looking at it. But the only thing, though, that you really got to take into account on that is he got 4 steals. I mean, how often does a guy really get 4 steals? But I get you, though. I get what you're saying, though, for sure. Like, you know what I mean?
Yeah, he still played 25 minutes, though. And I think 25 minutes for Gordon Hayward, depending on the game, is enough opportunity for him to get value. Because he's a three-point, he can knock down the three. He can get hot. He can knock down 5 or 6 threes, no problem. I'm not going to play him in this game. I'm not going to play Al Horford, but Jason Tatum is going to be relevant. Serge Ibaka can't match up with them. A newbie is game time decision with a face injury. Jaylen Brown, $5,300, fair priced. Rozier, a little bit of a price increase, $600 increase. He's just really solid off the bench. But from a fantasy, like you said, I think this is a game that's going to be fun to watch. But outside of Kyrie Irving, I think this is a Kyrie Irving rebound spot, and I think this is a big Kyrie Irving game.
Yeah. So one thing that we'll mention is Tatum, 6,400. I think that he's a really good play. I definitely will go back to the well and have some kind of form of Tatum at 6,400. And Brown, 5,300. For my only thing with the Boston side of things is I just feel like a little bit too cheap for me. But it could be the fact that they're playing a really good defensive team in Toronto is the reason why they have a little bit of a price dip. They just feel a little bit too cheap for me. On the Toronto side of things, though, I mean, there's really only going to be a couple guys that I'm going to look at. I mean,
I'm going to tell you something real quick, bro. While we're on the Boston side still, I'm going to tell you something. They have Kawhi Leonard, bro.
Right. Well, that's the thing is, who is Kawhi Leonard going to guard? If Kawhi Leonard's going to guard Tatum, then no thank you. But Tatum's at power forward. Hayward's going to get Kawhi Leonard initially in the game. And Tatum's going to be going against Ibaka. Ibaka's a good defender, but I just feel that Tatum could blow by Ibaka. His step back was looking killer the other night. So I just think he's 6,400. It's a buy low opportunity. We always talk about that's what we look for in
Yeah.
DFS. So that's just kind of where I'm at with it.
I think Kawhi Leonard plays Jason Tatum the whole game.
Think so? Yeah. See, if that's what's gonna happen, then I will look away. It's just we just don't know what's gonna really happen. That's the thing about it.
The thing
So
is you can live with the perimeter and the pick and roll game, right? With Valanciunas and Al Horford, kind of the same kind of they're kind of finesse players. You can live with Gordon Hayward out there on the 3-point line. You can live with Jaylen Brown trying to slice and dice you. You got guys to defend that. The one thing you can't live with is having a guy who's as explosive as Tatum coming off pick and rolls and high screens and all that stuff. And I think Kawhi Leonard shuts that down.
yeah, I get you. I mean, it's just all about where the matchup goes. We're second game into the season, so that's something that we'll definitely start understanding what teams are doing as we get a little bit farther along. So then, on the Toronto side of things, like I talked about, the game is going to be juicy to watch, but there's not really too many things I want to attack going against the Boston team. They're a really good defensive team. They proved it last year. Kawhi Leonard, I like him at 9,400. He had like 25 shots last game. Fantasy wise, he hit 40 points. He didn't hit value. And he was, pretty high owned. 9,400, the price tag stayed the same. So for him to hit value now, you're looking at about a 47 spot. He's going to really have to step up against Boston. Who's going to guard him on the defensive end? If he would have hit, he shot poorly last game. And if he would hit some more of those shots, he would have easily hit value. The shots just didn't go down. But he looked good on defense. He had some defensive stats. He got a bunch of rebounds. I'm going to be looking at Kawhi Leonard. I think he's a really good play. Probably more of a GPP play, though. And then Kyle Lowry. Kyle Lowry had a good game. He's going to be matching up against Kyrie Irving, who doesn't play very good defense. Kyrie Irving is a scorer, so I think that Lowry's in a good spot right here. You could possibly look at Ibaka or Pascal Siakam. I like both of those guys as well, the big men. The thing about it is they pretty much split minutes, and I don't really like playing people who split minutes unless the price is absolutely right. So for me in this game, I'm pretty much just gonna kind of stick with Kyle Lowry and Leonard. I know they're the obvious plays, but I don't want to sit here and say I'm gonna play this guy and this guy, or even mention them if I'm not gonna play him. So that's where I'm at with the Toronto side of things. If you got anything else about that side or whatnot.
No, I think this is the first rough slate of the year in a whole. There's some teams you like to play players from that are not necessarily in the best spots. You start looking at the Warriors, they're at Utah. You start looking at Boston playing Toronto. Toronto much improved defensively. Cleveland at Minnesota. Minnesota's got 4 really good players that you like to target, but they're playing Cleveland. There's blowout potential there. To me, you start looking at the most attractive games, and Charlotte and Orlando, the Knicks and the Nets, and then that Oklahoma City and Clipper game. Those 3 games look like they've got the most fantasy value, and then it's kind of just from there. Where is a team going to keep it close, right? Is Sacramento going to hang with New Orleans and run up and down the floor with them? Who knows, right? Is Utah going to put up 130 points and the Warriors put up 130 points tomorrow night? Who knows? This is like our first tough, ugly slate where there's not a lot of really good matchups.
Pretty much, this is a slate where there's not the obvious plays. You got to put in some work. It's pretty much where we at. You know what I mean?
You got to put the work in for this slate. Price increases, tough matchups, not obvious opportunities.
Yeah. So, I think that's about all that we got for this, kind of our morning shoot around that we're doing every night. Make sure and tune in. We're usually doing it around 11 o'clock Pacific time. We love doing these for you guys. Thank you for the guys that are out there watching it, checking us out. Like I said, hey, we crushed NBA today. make sure and go get those packages. Start using the optimizer. Start getting our daily cash lines. Hey, join the money team. Stop missing out. Everybody else is doing it. Why aren't you doing it? Hey, dfscheatsheet.com. Tomorrow I'll be back with my NBA core plays of the day. Go check out Jeremy on the DFS Cheat Sheet YouTube page. He's going to be coming out with his GPP plays as well. And hey, that's all we got. We'll talk to you guys tomorrow. Peace out.